Ladies and gentlemen, nerds and geeks, back at it again. It is the legendary Friday night of the Nerdle Roundtable. Oh man, I didn't get the clapping and the There, yours truly, King Nerdificent Koala Sharp in the building. I see Dr. Liz from the freeway.
Hey everyone.
Yeah. I see Anthony from 2 Cubicles Down.
Oh, hello everybody.
The one and only Thomas Talking Cunningham.
What's that?
And last but never ever least, Mo Kelly.
Nope.
Okay, first of all, you have to say fresh to death Mo Kelly because
I got TV to do.
he be styling today.
This is
got
super
TV.
clean.
Not the Tiffus. He threw out the Tiffus on us.
Spend enough money on them, I tell you.
That's
Boy,
right. My wife too.
F around and get cut on that suit, Mo. That's super sharp, brother. Super
It is sharp. Hello, Jackie Hobson.
Today we've got a lot. We've got Nope. We've got the Gray Man. We got a lot of news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. Lord have mercy right now. But first and foremost, the film that everyone has been highly anticipating, debating, is this the greatest horror film ever made? So far, the reviews have been stellar, saying Jordan Peele has done it again. Kiki Shepard is on her way to getting an Oscar.
Kiki Palmer. Kiki
Not
Shepard is.
Shepard.
Kiki Shepard is.
No, not at the Apollo. No, we're not
That's
going to the Apollo. Yeah, we're not going to the
It's
Apollo.
showtime.
I think Apollo.
Yes. Young Akila, she is grown up. And boy, she is beautiful. All right. I didn't see it because, of course,
Oh,
ain't
snap.
been nowhere. Yeah.
Right, that's right.
But I don't mind any spoilers on this one. I just maybe don't want to know what happens in the end. But fuck it. I honestly don't care. I don't care because I'm so curious to know what the hell this damn film is about. Who has seen it?
I've seen it. Let me start because Tom is going to rebut every one of my points.
I am
And
not
I'm
going to rebut every one of your points. We
am
were
going to
simpatico on some
agree.
things.
I'm going to agree with Mo on this one.
Oh, wow. Oh,
The down and
wow.
dirty is it's not Jordan Peele's greatest work. It's not the greatest horror
Agree.
movie of all
Agree.
time.
Agree.
Okay. But this movie needed another $50-60 million worth of budget to flesh out the full vision, I think, of what Jordan Peele was trying to convey, trying to say, and trying to have the audience to experience. If he did that, then it would have made a little bit more sense. The first half hour, I know it was expository in nature. I know that it was necessary to tell the rest of the story, but I thought it could have been done in a more expeditious fashion, and it seemed labored for the first half hour of the movie. And I don't need to give away the big reveal, but the big reveal is not all that big, and it seemed under budget. It seemed like it was fake.
Can I before
Agree,
Tom goes-
agree. I'm just gonna say I'm standing.
Okay.
He said I was gonna rebut everything. I have no buts to so far of what you
I
said.
am going to
Go ahead,
say that I think the low budgetness of this is supposed to be antagonistic to UFO stuff being always kind of like the makeshift UFO kind of things, always looking grainy and low budgety, and I think that's kind of where it was going. And then also, when I think about, does anybody remember? Did anybody watch it on Netflix? The movies that made us, and they talk about how they got this that stuff going. And one of the reasons why horror can make much of its money back and be that surprising thing is because they're so much more cheaper to make.
They're
And
low
so
budget.
absolutely low budget, like Halloween movies beyond low budget, clearly.
The Blair Witch Project.
Beyond low budget, right? And so I feel like that also he's playing into that low budgetness of I can tell this story with literally balloons, and it.
Oh shit! Wait, Liz,
Wait.
and
Okay.
Liz.
Okay. Okay.
Liz,
So
you
wait.
I'm
So
stop
being
wait.
right there, Liz.
facetious, but I'm saying that I can
No, you're not.
say
No,
this
I mean you're
movie
technically not being
with
facetious.
a very
but-
low budget style, because clearly he doesn't have. He's in the middle of most of it is a desert
Okay,
on a
all right.
ranch.
I need to
So-
understand. I need to understand. When you say balloons, are you talking the balloon people that were all throughout the damn trailers?
I'm talking about
The
different
little
types.
She's.
Wavy-
I will say this. She's not talking about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
There's a okay. I will just say this because you said you didn't want any spoilers, and Mo has already said that there really isn't anything to spoil at the end. So I'm just going to say 3 words to you: floating, space, vagina.
oh,
That's the spoiler. And
Okay.
if you're done, Liz, because
I'm done.
okay, and Mo, do you have anything you want to contribute before we get into this?
Float on.
So I will
Confusion.
say this. I had not considered the idea of the economy of the budget to be a conspicuous, deliberate choice. But now that those words have come out of your mouth, I'm vibing on that because this is a movie that is dealing with financial troubles as a subtext. And so the whole pretense of what happens at the very beginning of the movie, and not the very, very beginning, because in the opening credits, before the opening credits even happen, there is voiceover of an event that we see the end of. And then it goes away, and then it snatches back to the ranch with Keith David as the patriarch of this family that has this legendary history in Hollywood. It's somewhat fallen on hard times after his passing, which is in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler at all. Keith David, surprise!
One thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keith David, former guest of the Mo Kelly Show,
And former voiceover guy. He did your voiceover thing forever. That was
That's right.
so.
That will live on forever.
Yeah, so they show the thing in his skull in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler at all. He did, and that kind of kicks things off. And so the scarcity of money and the necessity of kind of selling the ranch off piecemeal is an undercurrent of the whole movie. And in fact, it is the inciting incident that drives the subsequent decisions of the characters that we see in the movie. There are not a lot of characters in this movie. We know about Kiki. We know about Daniel. That's Emerald and OJ. You've seen Angel. 5 stars, Angel. 5 stars. He's in there. And then you've got Winnock, who is underused. Because he's great on screen.
Yes.
He was in The Crow.
Bro, yep.
And that's where and he looks exactly the same. It's freaking crazy how he really hasn't changed, but he's still got that grizzled intensity. I'm kind of surprised. Maybe it's because of Clint Eastwood, and you can't have 2 Clint Eastwoods in Hollywood or whatever, but he fits in that same silo of like just grizzled Marlboro man kind of thing.
Sam Elliott.
Yeah, Sam Elliott, and he gets dragged into it kind of in the near the end of the second act. So what I will say is that I enjoyed this movie. Is 2 hours and I think 9 minutes long. Is that or something like that? 11 minutes long. I enjoyed a lot the first hour and 50 minutes. I would say hour and 55 minutes. And then when we got to the resolution, it was underwhelming. Perhaps purposefully, because I do believe I'm giving Jordan Peele credit for being very intentional in the choices he makes. He's a smart filmmaker. He's a smart writer. He has big ideas. Sometimes I think the ideas don't exactly translate in the way that I think he would have hoped. Get Out, universally translated, everybody considers it genius. Us, a lot of people liked a lot of elements about it. Lupita Nyong'o, when the duality of her characters, and the twist on that one was a cool twist, but the ending, I think, left people a little cold. And this one, I think the ending will leave some people cold. It didn't leave me quite so cold because one of the things I really liked about this movie is the subversion of the whole alien genre trope. In every other alien movie you've seen, the aliens that come to Earth possess superior technology and usually superior killing power in one way or the other, right? So even in a movie like The Thing, where the Thing gets to Earth, it crashes in a spaceship, and there aren't any spaceships that are capable of interstellar travel. So you have an advantage, and of course the Thing could transmute and take over people and imitate people and, you know, turn into giant jaws of death and all that. So you had a super powerful killing machine facing off against humans. This movie completely inverts that whole sense. And I don't want to, because the two of you haven't seen it, and I'm sure many of our listeners haven't seen it yet. I don't want to get into how, but I will say that the lead character in the movie, comes to an understanding about the nature of the alien threat that starts to turn your head around how it works. And this is how Peele has done things. So in Get Out, you could say from a horror genre perspective, it could be like a body snatcher take or a mind control take, right?
Right.
But instead of it being pod people or just like a signal or telepathy that controls somebody, you've got the literal subjugation of black bodies implanted with white consciousness. So that's his take on that. Us is an attack on the zombie trope. So it's not slow-moving, shuffling zombies. It's an entire culture of zombies living just under the surface who emerge to take revenge on their tethered doppelgangers who are living the lives that they wish they could live. And in Candyman, you had, and he wrote and produced that. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it with Nia DaCosta and the other person. You have what was a straight-up slasher movie that he invented a backstory of, you know, the cyclical killing of tragic black characters throughout history. And making that kind of instead of it just being a slasher film, you've got this thing, and he very wisely, he and the director connected it to the original Candyman movie by making the Yahya Abdul Mateen character the son that had been kidnapped in the first movie. So here you have his take on aliens. And I will say that when we first saw that stark image and we saw that very clipped teaser, that is a much more accurate representation of the spirit of this movie than the trailer that's out now. The trailer that's out now heightens the laughs. And there are laughs, but it's much jokier than this movie actually is. This has literally some of the grisliest material that Jordan Peele has ever presented on screen.
Really?
And yeah, it takes a turn where there's no tension at the beginning,
right?
And then all of a sudden,
it's I mean, he ratchets it right up, and that's the thing.
Wow.
Mo didn't like it, but I did like it because a lot of horror movies, everything takes place at night, and so that's already dark. And a lot of horror movies, it's claustrophobic. You're in a building and something's chasing you in a building. Michael Myers is around a corner. But this, to Liz's point, there's a big house, but almost none of the action takes place in the house. There's a big open ranch, so there's no place to hide. So it's very different in the way he ratchets the tension, but he does do it. And there's a sequence in particular, and it's also in the trailer. Although the line that the Winnock character,
misdirection.
It's a misdirection. He does not say that line in the movie, and I was waiting for it. But when it didn't happen, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." But it's not inaccurate. It's just that sounds like a joke, and in the movie, that joke isn't there. And so that sequence where what happens, it's grisly. When you see what that is coming onto the house, and you understand what that is coming onto the house, it is shockingly grisly. And then there's another piece of the movie that Mo and I talked about that he didn't really like, involving the history of one of the characters in the movie that is stunningly brutal. Stunningly brutal. And
really?
Oh, it absolutely is.
This sounds like a phenomenal film.
Go ahead, Mo.
Go ahead, Mo.
Because when you talk about the ratcheting up the tense nature of the movie,
Mhm.
it's building in a crescendo, but then it plateaus at the end. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's like a literal balloon. You let the air out. It doesn't even pop. And
Wow,
so,
that's not fair.
well, but in other words, it leaves you like it's almost like it gives you all this foreplay, but there's really no climax.
It's a blue ball situation. It really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. Again,
Huh.
not rebutting you, Mo.
But-
we haven't
but
we
I-
haven't actually butted heads at all,
Okay.
honestly.
But
I just liked a lot
what I
more of the
think-
movie than you did.
I will say that he does not give you as mm, he to me he takes a page out of Jaws Spielberg, where a lot of the tension, the feeling of what's happening is more powerful than actually seeing the physical bloody terror and all this
So
other
it's
stuff.
more like the dun-dun, how that builds
Right.
the tension more than even seeing the
But
shark.
there are some very clear homages to Jaws, specifically to your point that when he's at the ranch, the star lasso thing, and the alien like literally comes up behind him, it was reminiscent of when Bruce the shark comes out of the boat behind Roy Scheider. I mean, there are things. This is and this is another thing we talked to Mo about. This is a movie that also deals with the creation of art. So the two lead characters are the scions of the Haywood father, that's the Keith David character, who is the great grandson of the first human who was captured in motion picture. And that was a great little that's a very Jordan Peele touch where he literally has the characters explaining that piece of film history to the audience and to a group of industry professionals. So you remember that horrible movie that Scorsese did, Hugo? That was it was a love story to the creation of movies. Sometimes when creative people get into movies about making movies and about capturing images and all that, they kind of get into their own heads a bit. And that's kind of how I felt this movie did. I appreciated, let's just say this, the performances are outstanding.
Okay.
Keke Palmer is great.
It's okay.
Damn.
The dynamic between Keke Palmer and Daniel is very strong. I really enjoyed it.
This is not Oscar worthy. So people doing that.
No,
because
Oscar's too much.
I don't know
Oscar
what y'all
Oscar is
talking
way too
about.
much. No.
It's good, but it's not Oscar.
She's effective, and she's effective in this role as the sister to Daniel, who once again does a yeoman's job of completely ditching his very thick British accent to be American.
Yeah.
And the angel character, to get a little Latino flavor up in there. You got Latin, you got Asian, you got black, you got white. He put the whole thing in there. An angel, I happened to see the movie twice in one day, and the angel character grew on me a bit in the second viewing. But one of the challenges that I will give to Mo is that the rules are a bit twitchy. So we've seen in the trailer that when the alien craft comes onto the scene, electrical things die. That's why the waving arm things just kind of peter out. And that's an important plot point.
Okay, didn't know that. All right.
But the way that works was a little wonky. He mostly kept with the rules, but it was just inconsistent enough for it to be slightly annoying that it was inconsistent. And then by the time we get to Flying Space Vagina, it just didn't. I didn't understand.
Was it really a space vagina or an asshole?
It
wasn't a labia.
Well, it was very labia adjacent. Liz, you want to weigh in on this?
Nah, I don't. But I will say this. Jordan Peele does I feel, actually, Jordan Peele is suffering from the same thing that M. Night Shyamalan suffered from.
Oh, not quite that bad.
Well, in the part that the first film that they both did were such huge deviations and shock that when the second one came out, it was this almost kind of trying to continuously chase something new and nuanced. And I'm not saying that, and honestly, if you go in my mind, go back and look at Get Out necessarily wasn't beyond terrific. What made it good was because it was so universally understood by a certain subgroup, Black folks. And there was this jokiness of it, of how we see other people. And there's this inner inside joke and how it makes it feel such a horror. Our life experience is somewhat horror. And that is why it made it such a unique, fun, sad, demented kind of experience that people were able to connect to. But when it comes to, did it fulfill all of the level of horror? Did it feel all of the that's a whole, you can debate all that. But I think that Jordan Peele is extremely talented. And what I found interesting about this is that he made a whole thing about, he's made this unique space of genre of plotting race in horror. And so when you watch this, you're like, well, where's the race in horror?
I,
And
but I think that,
I'm not
I mean,
saying that he has to do it all the
No,
time,
it's
but
I
almost
saw it.
everything.
no, I'm a jump in. I'm a jump in on that
Go
because
ahead,
So where
Tom.
was it?
I think the whole point, and there were three specific instances where I absolutely disagree. When he was in the barn, when the lights were going on and off, and he didn't know what it was, and he saw the first, and he literally says nope,
Nope.
and turns his ass and walks away. That was
specifically to Black people saying,
that was right to Black people. And
Yes.
and Kiki Palmer has another exact situation where she does the exact same thing. And there's even the segment
when he
back
opened
on.
when he opened the truck door
That's right.
later when he
Yeah,
closer
when
to the
stuff
resolution.
is exactly. So that was there. Those nods were there. It just wasn't a complete structural undercurrent of the movie in the way that it was in Get Out in particular.
And us. And
Well, in
Twilight
us,
Zone.
but in us, the difference is that it wasn't isolated from all of the previews. You thought maybe it was just this one thing. When you find out that it's everybody, at least everybody in America had these doppelgangers. So it wasn't just about Black Dread, although the focus of most of the Us movie was centered on this one family. But it was also different because it was Black tethered who were scaring the Black people, which is that's a subversion anyway.
Yeah.
Usually in a horror movie, the Black person is the first person to die. That's still a relatively fresh rule that's still current and accurate. But they're almost always killed by either a monster or a white antagonist. So
I mean, I would say Us was maybe more classism than anything, because
it definitely explored class and consumerism.
Came and it just focused on the Black family, but then when you saw the white family who were their friends that they were like hanging
Right.
out with, they had tethers who came, and then you found out the whole world had a tethered who was trying to come out and live the good life, basically.
Right. So I didn't,
yeah.
but so to that particular point, I'm just saying that the recognition of race was definitely there, and it also deals in not even a subtle way. It deals with how Hollywood flips on child actors. It deals with racial.
Dismissiveness of Black contributions to Hollywood as well.
I mean, he overtly makes that point. And then also the fact that Black folks in Hollywood don't even get a chance to make one mistake. If you make a mistake, you're off the shoot, and they're bringing in a robot horse. So I mean, there were lots of things, and if you stay through the whole credits, you'll see that in the end credits, Universal makes a big deal of saying that they participate in this diversity thing, and they're making sure that they're improving their diversity at all levels. And if you look in the credits, you see a lot of diverse names, especially from the Indian subcontinent and in other parts of the world that where they were including those people in the crew. And so that part of it, I think, was very intentional too, which is why I think some of the things that maybe Mo found to be labored and overly long, I think Peele was particularly putting that in there to slow the pace down, so that when he started to ratchet it up, the ratcheting in and of itself was unsettling, because you think you're watching something. There's good jokes. When I saw it the second time, it was a packed house, and the jokes landed a lot more in the packed house. In the first house I saw, it was maybe 30-40% full, and that audience did not laugh as much as the 715 audience laugh. There were clear laughs that I could say, yep, he wanted that laugh. Yep, he wanted that laugh. The only one where I think he didn't want it was in the last 2 minutes of the movie. And but he does some very
comes out.
That's when the space labia. And so what he does some very Peely things. So again, there's a thing that's a particular bête noire for Mo, and I don't want to get into it, but it is the most graphically disturbing scene in the movie. But he makes these callbacks. So Liz said balloons. There's balloons in that scene, and then in the climax, there's a callback to that. So he does these clever things that you can pick up on if you're paying attention.
There are breadcrumbs everywhere.
He lays the pathway, and so it's a movie that I think, this is my recommendation to all of the Nerdorama round tablers, you knights and lords and ladies. Go with a group and get you a drink and talk about it after.
Yeah, every movie that he does is going to
inspire conversation, right?
It has a conversation piece because, and
Yeah.
I thought that, I mean, to me, I don't know. I think, people always are going to reference Get Out because, like, I feel that it just resonates. It just resonates so overtly and so in your gut. And I feel the same way about certain episodes of The Twilight Zone. Season 1, I do think is better than season 2, but I like both. And Us resonates a conversation because if you remember, a lot of people didn't widely love Us, and there was a lot of controversies about the accent. There was a lot of or the tone of how she spoke. There were a lot of issues that people didn't particularly care for and gravitate to Us, and people had to talk about it. There were a ton of think pieces. Then they had to watch it a second time.
I wasn't a fan of Us.
Sometimes I'll watch it a third time. And I feel like this is another one of those that people going to have to watch a second time and a third time. They're going to have to read some stuff. They're going to have to watch some other people talk about it. And then they come back together again and talk about it, and it's going to grow in you.
Okay.
I think it's a movie that is advantaged by your perception of Jordan Peele's artistic gifts. I think if you appreciate him as a writer, if you appreciate him as a director, then you will be more inclined to look and explore the movie a little bit differently than if you're just a regular Joe Schmo moviegoer. I think that's fair to say. There are people who walked out when I walked out of my 4:00 showing. I heard a woman literally say, "I'm just confused," and I get that. I think what you have come to expect from an alien movie, it's not Independence Day, where at the end of Independence Day, the whole big motherfucking ship just blows up. It's not Star Wars, where the Death Star blows up and it's a huge, tremendous ending. It's not Predator, where the Predator does the little countdown thing, and the little mini nuclear bomb. It's not. Oh yeah, I mean, come on now. It's not any of those things. And so when you think about alien movies, the ending is much more Close Encounters than Independence Day.
But see,
And when
for
you look at it from that perspective of what the ending is and how the ending works, because it's cast in a horror space and there's so much violence in it, the way it resolves is counter programming and
but
counterintuitive.
no, but
Tawala, you know what's
that's the
there's
difference, though.
another story that's told within it,
But
and
see, but
that
that's
we
why I
haven't
go
even
to
talked
Jordan Peele
about.
films. I go to Jordan Peele films because of the fact that I personally don't watch horror movies. I don't watch horror movies
Mm,
because unfortunately they stay with me. I'm not able to shake the ideas. I'm not able to shake the emotions or the jumps. And then it comes to a point where you try to come and wake me up, or walk up on me in the bed and you're gonna get swung on. You walk up behind me and touch me, you're gonna get a back elbow just because that shit stays with me, right? The thing that I've always loved about Jordan Peele is that his films, every time I walk out of them, I'm like, well, that wasn't a horror movie at all. That was just like, let me
life.
go deep and think for a minute. Every one of
Hmm.
his films drive me to think deeper. Same with M. Night, where all of his films, they have the jump scares, they have these moments, but there's always this subtle underline that when you get to the end, you go, wow, that wasn't a horror movie at all. That's shit made me think a little
Life.
bit. Made me think about life
No,
and the way
that
he
wasn't
lived.
a horror movie at all. It was The Last Airbender.
Okay.
But
All right.
What about Lady?
but there's
Okay.
What about
And the
there's
Lady in the
no,
Water. Come on
Okay.
now.
yeah,
And
but
M
there's
Night
no,
M Night fell way the fuck off. I mean,
you're,
he
you're,
had
But
he
then
had his
no,
run,
that's
he
and
not the
came back
point. You're
hard with
the
the
with
trilogy.
the point.
I mean,
Unbreakable
no,
and
The
Unbreakable was before the
Unbreakable.
downfall. So because it was even Signs was problematic for me. I don't believe that
But I
aliens that
think
could be damaged by
I
water
thought all
land on a
three of
planet
those were
with
the last
75.
ones.
What do you mean?
I thought it was
No,
Unbreakable,
no,
and
no.
then he
Unbreakable
did
was like his
No, he has
third
a
or fourth
third
film.
or yeah.
he
Oh,
has
And then
another
there was a
one.
big break, and it was Split, and then it was Glass. I think Split and
yeah,
Glass may have been back to back as
Well,
far
Split
as
and
release.
Glass and Unbreakable are all linked.
Yeah, those
yeah.
are that
So
is
it's
the
the
trilogy.
trilogy.
I'm just
That's
saying
what's up.
that there was a big break between Unbreakable and Split.
Well, yeah, when you go from Lady in the Water to
Well, he had The Village, he had Lady
I
in the
like the
Water,
village. I
he
like
I like the
had
village.
Last Airbender.
Last Airbender, he had Old was after.
Old was his latest.
Old
Yeah,
was
that
his
was the
latest,
last.
and
I
was
didn't watch
definitely
it.
not the greatest.
Mhm.
It's not amazing.
Look, I only compared it to because when his first movie came out, it was such a mind bending thing that people wanted to go see it again and again to try to catch up on the clues and the hints and whatever. And Get Out was such a huge phenomenon that it's become almost like this cultural thing where people will use the word "get out" um,
They
The
in
used the
sunken
meme.
place,
conversation.
all that.
They used the
Right.
meme and everything.
Right. So I mean, it became so huge, and to me, it reminds me of like an artist's first album,
Hmm.
where they always, if they had a really great first album, then that second album is almost like, oh, I don't know if it's going to do as well, and then makes a career or it doesn't make a career, and that's the kind of thing that Jordan Peele, that's the only comparison. I'm not saying that he's going to tank. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that it was that first film was such a cultural thing, relatable for all these other reasons that it made it pop.
Okay.
I definitely want to give voice to one of our viewer listeners, Barack Rocky Giles. So, in my opinion, Peele is doing something with his horror films very similar to what Glover is doing with the comedy drama series Atlanta. And I can wholeheartedly agree with that. It is, while the first season, even the very first season, played with things, but it was a bit more straightforward. In this, is this the final or the next to final season? Is
It's
this
the final
penultimate?
season.
This is the final
season.
season. So the final season definitely went in almost Twilight Zone spaces in terms of what he chose to do as a creative. And so I respect what Peele brings to the table. And I think unlike most directors, like M. Night, to my knowledge, has never done a horror anthology television series. So where Peele has the opportunity to kind of stretch his legs and kind of do different and more and exciting things in the television space and then come back to movies when he's ready to, other directors haven't done that.
No,
And
M. Night
so
has a television show. I don't particularly care for it. I watch
Oh,
it,
that
but I don't.
the
But I don't.
but
care
that's
for
not. It's not an anthology series. It's a regular show.
Wait, what shows he got?
It's the
It's on Apple
kid, right?
TV.
The crazy kid, the adopted
It's-
kid or something.
No,
It's a
no,
creepy
no.
kid show, isn't it?
It is a creepy kid show, but it's on Apple TV Plus. I could pull
Oh,
it
if
up,
it's on
but
Apple
it's not.
TV, I ain't seen it.
Yeah, it's on. It's but it's a
Servant.
series. It's not. It's not.
Servant, that's what
Yeah,
it is.
Servant. Right. So, but
Yeah.
unlike an anthology series where you're making a mini movie every episode, this is episodic, and so you're sticking
Yeah.
with the same characters over the course of a season. So it's different. Peel gets to be much more experimental in his hour-long segments than
Right.
a
And it's
regular.
the Twilight Zone, so it gives him.
And it's
room
the
to
Twilight
just say, I'm
Zone,
just
so
doing
he
whatever.
exactly,
So
and so
good.
there aren't any expectations. So I think here, I enjoyed it. What I said to Mo and what I said to some other friends in other text threads. I enjoyed so much of the movie. I can't throw it away because the ending wasn't exactly what I expected. It definitely was not what I expected. But then again, you do expect at the end of an alien invasion movie, either the aliens are going to win or the humans are going to win. I mean,
One of the two.
So
Yeah.
one of the two is going to happen, and so most of the time in American cinema, it's the humans that win. So
Right.
do the math.
I honestly, okay, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I actually was more intrigued by the sub story that was happening, which was
You talking about Jupe?
yes, about it's supposed to be a character backstory. But that's how the movie starts off. And I was like, what am I watching? And because it deals with this child star, he was a child star.
hmm
And
That's the Stephen Wen character.
yeah.
Okay. The dude who's
can I
running the
s-
rodeo.
hmm
Yes.
Okay.
And that was more interesting to me. And the fact that they kept going to it just let me know, like, okay, clearly you want me to pay attention to this. I don't know why.
I have
Right.
I have a perception about why they did that, and the backstory, which they start the movie off, and then in the second act they bring it back to show you more of what happens. They show you kind of the end of what happens at the beginning. That directly links to the situation with the aliens. There's a parallel there. And the parallel is articulated by the OJ character. But
The fact that
I
he's
don't
named OJ.
well, and they Donna Mills has perhaps the most unexpected cameo in this fucking movie.
She
That
does.
Donna Mills. When I saw the name in the opening credits, I was like, "Oh, Donna Mills' granddaughter is in this." No, it's Donna
No,
Mills.
it's Donna Mills. Okay.
It's literally fucking Donna Mills, and she looks amazing to
And the
be as
fact that
old as she must be.
And the fact that they even have a line, "Run, OJ, run." You're like,
But that again, that was and to your point, Liz, that was directly about race. That was Jordan Peele jabbing people in the eye with race. So because even her character, your name is OJ, and he's like, yeah, Otis Jr. And she's like, oh, okay. So but see, you see how you laughed? That's what Peele does. And so there's so much to enjoy in this movie up to the point where the movie is over. And it's over and you get black screen nope. There's no denouement. It's the movie's over and it's nope and it's credits. And there is no meaningful post-credit scene. The people who were sitting behind me in the audience, the guy literally said, yeah, well, I heard there's an end credit scene. And so I was like, okay, let me sit my ass down because I definitely don't want to miss something that Jordan Peele put at the end of a movie. And I had left my first screening because I was trying to get to my second screening. So I definitely didn't wait for the end credits. It's just an advertisement. You can go to the Jupiter's Claim at Universal City now. They got a Jupiter's, and they basically have a Nope attraction at Universal, and that's what it's for. So yeah, you definitely don't need to wait just to see that bullshit. It's a billboard, and
Look,
I've just told
at the
you
rate that the rate that films are coming to streaming, I
Oh,
think that
bruh.
this is
right?
one that I'll see, in a month or two. So I'm
Well,
good.
the
Yeah.
thing is, Universal isn't really on that train in the same way. They do have distro deals with Netflix and Amazon, but Amazon is where I think most of the studios that don't have a streaming platform
Hmm.
service are
Yeah.
distributing their stuff.
Some of them are going to stars, but a lot of
Right.
stuff is popping up on Amazon so fast, and I'm like, I'll be all right.
Yeah,
Well,
you're gonna
Mr.
be able to
Malcolm's
see
List is already
Jurassic.
on streaming.
You're
Yeah.
gonna be able to see Jurassic.
Yeah,
You're gonna be able to
Jurassic.
Jurassic's already
see.
there.
Yeah,
I
Jurassic's out.
know, but I'm saying you're gonna be eventually pretty soon. You're gonna have to you don't have to pay for it, so
Yeah.
you'll be able to see it without having to pay for it. You'll be able to see Thor pretty soon because that's probably
Yeah,
gonna
with
be out in
Yeah,
a
Disney.
that
couple
would
I mean,
weeks.
drop. Yeah,
I
that'll
wanted
be
to
on
get to
Disney Plus
theaters
in
to
no
see
time.
that, but
Well, what I will tell
it's
you,
tough.
Tuala, and this is, I mean, it's something that can't be helped with you because you're still in dealing with the aftermath. But what I will say is that Jordan Peele specifically shot this movie in IMAX
Oh
because of
shit!
what it offered him artistically. Now,
Damn it!
I'm not saying that
Damn it!
I think you have to see it in IMAX,
But a lot of
but
times you do.
he shot it with intentionality in the IMAX format. I will just say that. And so the framing of some of the shots, if it's not seen in IMAX
You'll
with
miss
the
something.
IMAX aspect
Yeah.
ratio, you will not see his full vision.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a Kubrickian sort of thing to me. It's not. I mean, the shots are beautifully composited. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I don't know how much I may have missed had I not seen it in the format it was intended to be
But see,
seen.
when there's films like that, and Liz can attest to this, the Will Smith dual identity
Gemini Man.
film,
I was just about
Gemini
to
Oh,
say
Man.
that.
Gemini.
If you
Gemini
didn't
Man
watch that in the
is
correct format, you
is
Yeah.
missed
trash.
everything.
Yeah,
don't
if you
even know
did,
what's
if you
happening.
didn't watch it in that super laser blah da bloop de bloop, yeah,
It's
it was
trash.
tough.
I mean, the storyline is trash, but I'm gonna tell you that I saw it in that laser that they intended,
Yeah, the
and it
super
was a
fast. Yeah,
phenomenal film. Like just the effects. I mean, I thought that I was actually sitting in the middle of the car accident. It was just
yeah.
a phenomenal experience. And I said they didn't listen to me, but I said that they should have did Doctor Strange that way because that would have made that movie
You,
more in an enjoyable space.
you
But
know
they didn't
what?
listen.
I will say this.
So it was what it is.
When I saw Doctor Strange, I really thought that the not Shumagorath beast looked ridiculous like a rubber toy.
Mhm.
Mm.
And it really just it took me out of it. Honestly, it looked ridiculous to me. It didn't look like a monster.
No.
It looked like a
I
squeeze
don't know.
toy.
Wow, that's wild. Because on my screen, I saw it in Dolby. I thought visually the whole film was stunning.
Man, it
Oh no, there
reminded
was
me
a lots of stunning stuff to it. I'm just saying that the extra little tentacles that were just kind of doing this, and it just didn't seem
it
as
reminded me of the starfish from the DC
The
whatever.
Suicide
from
Squad.
the Suicide Squad,
The Suicide
Starro.
Squad.
And I was just like, ugh. But I'm
Okay.
saying that if they would have shot it in that format, because nobody else has shot it the way that they did in Gemini Man, they need to use that format. It's because I think that it would have been really fantastic.
Well, but I think part of the challenge is that if you don't have the sufficient venues to show it the way
That's
it's
not
meant
my
to be
point.
shown,
I don't care.
well,
I don't care about those other people. I care about me.
I mean, okay,
Everyone don't got
I'm
that access to
egotistical
those
here.
screens, I guess.
okay.
Uh,
Well, do we want to? Did you see the Gray Man, Twala, since you were at home?
I have seen the Gray Man.
And Anthony has seen the Gray Man,
I've seen it.
and I have seen almost all of the Gray Man.
Okay.
What about you, Liz?
Nah.
Gray or nay? Okay, so you're a
Gray
nay.
or nay.
I
I
will
was
say
watching Apple
this
TV.
because I'm gonna let Tuala, since you didn't have the opportunity to see the first movie that we spent 45 minutes on, I'm gonna open the floor to you. But I will just say this: the Russo brothers can direct action.
Yes, they
And
can.
go.
Yes, they
That
can.
is about all the Russo brothers are
They're good at
able to do. The Russo brothers, to me, the Russo brothers are like I one time I'd heard this artist say something about Dr. Dre. They said, Dr. Dre ain't all that, and he can't really produce all this and that and the other. And someone said, I think it was Corrupt. I was in the room with Corrupt, and he said in response, he said, "Well, then you go out there and you be Dre. Then I doubt you can." It seems that once you leave that Dr. Dre, those artists who left and thought that they were going to be bigger and better than him, and they actually come to realize the genius behind what he does, and then they fail. That's what happens. And I'm not saying the Russo brothers have failed. What I'm saying that this is another film that proves to me Marvel made them. They did not make necessarily the best Marvel films. I think that the crew within Marvel behind them gave them superior backing. They gave them they surrounded them with, no guys, you got to do it like this. No, because you have a lot of those films. You had Favreau behind with the Endgame and Infinity War. You had him guiding it. You still had Feige guiding to make sure that everything came together. With this film here, it is fast. It is action packed. The action is so next level. I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen nothing like that. There were so many times I just said, let me just rewind that. But if I could have watched this film on mute, with the exception of every scene that Chris Evans was in,
he's in a lot of scenes. He's in a lot of scenes.
It's outside, the story is so paper thin, and at points I'm like, this is such a lame, ridiculous story. But again, you have Ryan Gosling, who it could have been anybody. That could have been any lead. Ryan Gosling brought nothing.
But think about
it was Jason Bourne.
Yeah, but think about all the other Russo movies that they made since Endgame, and every last one of them.
The 21
Bridges.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well,
the storyline was whack, but they directed a good. The director was the action, and they continuously put out action movies with the worst beyond paper tissue paper as a storyline.
But I mean, it's
Chris Evans, though. I mean, my God.
Chris Evans is fucking hilarious in this movie.
So let's talk about, because one of the things that I put in the text is that when you consider how perfect he was in the role of Captain America, which is perhaps the most moral, upstanding superhero character that is to date, except for Christopher Reeve Superman. He's that iconic.
And Buzz Lightyear.
No. He's human. I'm not even talking about him in Lightyear. That's fine. But that's voiceover acting. I'm talking about, you're looking at this man's face and
he's the personification.
He's the personification.
He's the Boy Scout.
That is America's ass. Mm-hmm. And then you see him in Snowpiercer, and it's a more laid back, heroic, morally capable role, but he's a compromised person. There's class struggle and all of that. Then you see him in Knives Out. This is basically the more sociopathic version of Knives Out. In Knives Out, he was really an entitled prick asshole. Mm-hmm. Again, with De Armas, which I don't know if the Russos just decided that was the way they wanted to play it, but they have a lot of people because what's her name? Alfre Woodard from the Marvel Universe is in there.
They always use Marvel Universe.
What's her name from Civil War?
Who was in there from Civil War? Alfre Woodard.
No, the girl, the London Station CIA chief. The girl. They go to her in Prague.
Who was that?
Damn it! Give me a second.
You're not talking about homegirl from the Iron Fist, are you?
No, it was. Did they even credit her in this? No, you're right. Sorry, you're right. Yeah, Woodard.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Alfre Woodard. Yeah.
He was also in Defending Jacob. Don't forget him in Defending Jacob.
Well, but again, that's right. So he has range, and then here, where I felt it went off the rails, because everybody loves a glorious psychopath. Everybody loves that, but the shit in Prague.
That was the best.
I was done. No, it was great action, but it was like there are limits.
Yeah.
Jean Rene, what's his last name? Page? Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bridgerton.
Okay,
Roger
so
John
him. Roger Jean Page. So that was a lot.
Well,
that was a lot for the hard drive. Huh?
It was a whole lot.
Shootout or in the hospital?
No, I'm talking about that shit with the train. Where he was just like, start killing the cops and shooting up buses and shit.
Yes.
This is a CIA dark op in broad daylight
It
where
was.
150 motherfuckers, at least civilians, plus cops, plus your dead agents all over the place
Well,
in the middle of the goddamn capital of Czechoslovakia.
He did not give a fuck.
Fuck! He gave zero
them
fucks.
all.
Kill them
$10
all.
million,
And
whoever gets
but
in
I
his
think
head.
that was kind of like the warning that Colleen Wing had given them.
that's who that was.
Yeah. That's Colleen.
Oh
Wing.
shit!
So,
Yep, you're sure right.
In the beginning, she said, "Hey, dude, you know this guy has no
Right.
limit to what he'll do," and it's almost like she warned Bridgerton, and
Thank you.
and
Let's just
even
call
at
him
a certain
Bridgerton.
point in time,
So much easier.
Evans had warned everyone and said, "Look, you know what I do." Even before he started, he said, "I got full range, all the money I need. Just I can do whatever I want.
Blank
Leash is
check.
off." And when he said yes, she warned him. She said, "You can't take the leash off this Tasmanian devil. If this dude goes wild, this is what we're going to get." So when they got it, all I said was, "Oh shit!" They didn't believe her. They didn't believe her, and now this shit is out of control.
All I can say is what a difference a mustache makes, because the teeny weeny little
Fucking
clipped
like this.
mustache just made him look like such a prick. I mean, it was
And
like,
the
and he had the Eurotrash douchebag part and all of that. I mean, he really,
The white
really.
pants. Geez.
Oh, the tight white pants.
The tight white
pants.
Them
shoes,
pants
I'm
was
telling you,
tight as hell.
The fucking shoes when they're
Oh yeah,
fighting
the
at end,
slippers.
and
Yeah, when he
sits down,
throws
fucking
the gravel
garage.
out the shoe. Oh my god. And so I will say this. I'm a fan of the Russo brothers. And again, he had that Hitchcockian cameo
At the
in the
end.
third act where
Yeah, he likes
he's
doing
some
that.
senator or something.
He always does that.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm fine with that. I love the action. Ryan Gosling was supposed to be an understated person, and so he was understated, just like all these other cookie cutter trained killers. Going back to Matt Damon starting in the Bourne Identity and going into the people who replaced him as it went into the Bourne blah 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 and the Bourne grocery trip, all of that. I was perfectly fine. You go into the Gray Man knowing that it's nonsensical. And so it hangs on action set pieces. It hangs on the antagonist. So Chris Evans, you're winning. De Armas is again a Bond girl who's kicking ass. You got Billy Bob Thornton in a major cameo. You've got Alfred Woodard being a badass. You got Ryan Gosling. Listen. He was credible. His action was credible. He did the choreography very well.
He was very stoic. He was.
Was.
Stoic role for him.
Very stoked. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you think about the backstory of his character being abused by his father, and I won't give away why Billy Bob Thornton finds him in jail at the opening of the movie, but you can understand why he is as damaged as he is and why he embraced the training that turned him over the course of 15 years into the super killer that he is when we see him in the movie. But it was set piece after set piece after set piece after set piece, and I'm not a person who minds that. If you keep me on the edge of my seat, there were moments where I was like,
yeah, no.
Is he gonna get the
for that
gun?
alone? For that alone, this film wins. This is a film that probably should have been a Netflix theatrical release.
Yeah.
oh, this could have easily gone
big.
theatrical.
I was thinking the same
Easily.
thing.
I honestly
Unlike
think that the reason-
Spiderhead, which was trash.
I honestly think that the reason why it didn't is because the last few Russo brothers films that have went theatrical had not done so well.
Oh, you mean
Oh,
after
none of them
Endgame?
have. Yeah, after Endgame,
Yeah.
they have had
After
no
Endgame,
hit.
they went. I mean,
Zero
they
hits.
they relied so heavily on the action, and their sad little stories.
But they're good at
And-
it though.
I understand.
No, they are. They're great at it. But I mean,
But
21
people
Bridges.
don't-
21 Bridges was an unmitigated disaster, and for that to be his final film, it is disturbing to me.
What
From
was
a
that-
from a cop
That wasn't his
procedural
final
perspective.
That
film.
wasn't his final
You mean
film.
Bose? That wasn't Boseman's.
What was his final one?
The jazz one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ma Rainey. That's
Ma
right.
Rainey, yeah.
But his last theatrical, that wasn't theatrically. Ma Rainey was streaming.
Streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair,
Anyway,
But I'm saying Russo brothers has had a string of not doing so well at the box office, so that it got to the point that that they probably were like, let's just make it successful at
I mean,
But
Netflix.
the budget on this film, this is without a doubt, this is, I
yes.
think they've said,
Oh, it had
one
that's
of the
it's super
single most
expensive.
expensive streaming films made.
Had to be.
Not
Like
surprised.
Had
it's
to be.
insane.
I take another tack on that. I think for a movie that probably only has 45 seconds that doesn't include gun violence, it might be wrong-headed to put that out. I mean, it's literally it's goddamn near platoon up in this bitch. It's
Yeah.
so
Like,
much
start to
armament.
Like
It's
you meet the characters and
blow,
then
blow,
it's
blow, blow,
nonstop.
blow, 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 blow. I mean, it's just you had more that Prague sequence. That was
it's great.
That was 17 minutes of like
Yes.
nonstop fuck shit. It was just like Alpha Team, Bravo Team, Delta Team. You
The
know,
SWAT team.
yeah, the SWAT team, the police, the Prague police. He's chained to a fucking bench. He's reaching for. I mean, ooh.
Look,
Chris
between
Evans
that,
has
look,
tore
the
up
airplane
Europe.
sequence,
Yeah.
was phenomenal. The damn
The castle?
hospital fight,
Yeah, that-
was
that- the-
great.
Yeah.
The
Oh my
final
gosh, the
scene was
Tamil
great.
dude,
Yeah,
the
Oh,
lone
man.
wolf.
Man.
Psh.
that was some badass shit.
No,
Very
the fight,
good,
and that's
man.
why I say the fight choreography. That's why I give Gosling credit. The character itself was a cookie cutter character. There's not a lot to the character, but any person who can do that amount of training and do that amount of fighting credibly, and I give De Armas a lot of credit too. We saw
She was
her
dope.
kick ass in the Bond movie, but it was a short sequence. She had to kick a lot of ass in this movie.
She was fire in
and
this one.
and
She was
and that
fire.
shit with the hospital fight between them and the lone wolf, that shit was fire. Fire. I mean, this is a movie I watch with my boys because I know that it's going to be fucking ridiculous to watch it with them. They're going to be hype, and because I watched it on a computer screen, I want to watch it on the 4K to really get the full shit. But I'd be happy to watch it again with them. Enjoyable movie. Regé is perhaps a little bit wasted, but again, props to the dude for giving us that American accent.
It does leave it open for
A sequel.
a sequel.
Oh.
Now,
Well, I
whether
mean,
or not Chris
any
Evans
time.
is dead.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody else, all the main characters are still alive. Every
And
single one of them.
it's a spy group, the
Yeah,
Gray
exactly.
Man. I mean, he's Sierra 6. He literally says in the movie 007 was taken. So you can see that there's space, and I don't know if it's going to be, I don't know who it will be that takes the reins, but it's quite clear that there are people that the audience could believe could pick this up. I mean, look, it's a fucking spy movie. Spies can do anything the fuck they want. I'd happily watch Ryan
Look,
Gosling.
that's why I like
you
another
know,
thing I like about this film. There are no good guys. There are no bad guys.
yeah.
Everyone in this film is bad. Everyone in this film is just at
Well,
what
and the
level
United
of bad
States
are
is
you?
behind the badness, which is
Yes.
another
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
refreshing.
they're behind both sides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what the
They're
fuck?
literally behind both
Seriously?
sides. They're
Right.
just tearing up, Eastern Europe with Chris Evans.
Right, exactly. So
No, yeah. I thought that was refreshing, saying like, wow, this is not a film where you have like a redeemable assassin who's like, I'm tired of assassinating people. I want to be
well,
good
but
now.
that
And then
I
they
mean,
they go to get him.
Lone Wolf kind of gives you that a little bit.
Well, he says
Well,
when he,
he
finds
did,
out
but
there's
see,
a
he
kid
gave
involved.
you that after going.
Oh, yeah,
through
after
and
fucking up a lot of
wrecking
people.
shit.
Oh, sure, yeah, for
and
sure.
his whole thing, I think that he wasn't like, hey, I'm a good guy now. He was
No,
like,
no.
I just
Yeah.
don't think that the reasons that I'm doing this are in line with my beliefs anymore.
Yeah, he
I'm gonna
said
go
these
kill
are
someone
not
else for a
honorable
good reason.
people. Right.
Yeah.
These are not honorable people. So he'll
Not,
go kill
hey,
some
I'm tired of
honorable
killing. No.
motherfuckers. Right. No.
No,
but
no.
it was a good choice. And again, a setup for another amazing fight sequence.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
It can definitely go there. It can definitely go there. As far as San Diego Comic-Con, the Dungeons and Dragons trailer is yet another attempt at a film studio copying at least the style of Marvel
cannot wait.
with the Taika Waititi trailers and the James Gunn trailers by taking a property and mashing it with modern music and a modern take on things to make, you know, a property seem exciting and maybe appeal to young folks. And it's got this whimsical, cavalier kind of fun. We'll see. To me, it has the vibe of a big budget film that
I
is
don't know
going
why
to
it took
fall
so
flat.
long.
The weirdest casting.
Oh no, it's
ever.
not. This isn't the first Dungeons and Dragons film.
No, that's what
This
she's
is-
saying. Why it
Dungeons
took
and
so
Dragons.
long for the sequel?
My bad.
What did you think he was talking
I
about?
was thinking we were talking about something else. I didn't like the
Oh.
first one. They could have done whatever.
Yeah,
has the weirdest cast.
I just
Yeah.
don't
people
see why
really-
this was a necessity.
Yeah, you could
And-
have
it's
just
because,
and-
it's because the film company. It's because they have
No, I get it.
a whole property. Hasbro's like, we're doing movies, y'all. So-
Got
Yeah, but I
it.
think
Sure.
it took so
Okay.
long. And honestly, does anybody play Dungeons and Dragons anymore?
Yes.
Well, thanks to Stranger Things, I'm sure it's probably
gonna make a comeback with
there's
running up that road, running up that
Kate
hill.
Bush.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no,
D&D and Kate Bush
D&D,
sleepovers is the whole thing now.
and-
Well, you know
and,
how I felt
RPG,
about
it's serious.
you know how I felt about Pokemon, because I was like, but I did knew that people were playing Pokemon because I teach at many different colleges. They all play Pokemon, so I was like, this is going to be a fluke. You'll be stunned to see how many people show up. But for Dungeons and Dragons, I haven't seen too many people.
Well, but
Oh,
that's
no.
it's
But they
different
do.
because
They
people are
do.
playing Pokemon Go because you can walk around with your iPhone and do it. You can't do that.
No,
with
I'm
Dungeons.
talking
You gotta
about
sit
people are
around
playing
tables.
cards. No, I know they play cards. They bring the whole TV, the whole setup. They do everything.
No, Liz,
before
in
Go
Pasadena,
comes.
there's a whole game center where on a Friday or Saturday night, every table is full and they're playing
Dungeons
D&D.
and Dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Mm.
serious, and they'll play D&D or one of the other RPG games. But the whole canvas of that it appeals to such a cult following right now that
does.
I know the theaters will be packed, and it'll be packed with people who that's what they do. They LARP, they do all this kind of stuff, and they're probably going to go and see it just to see if
But
the film is respectful
But
of
Tawala.
the culture.
Tawala.
Hmm.
There are more adults adult males, because it's not as many women, who are sitting and watching Pokemon movies and cheering for when they think that the next one's going to be out. When I tell you that the movie theater went on fire for Sonic 2 and who they think is coming next, and it's nothing but adults, men, all happy and high-fiving each other. So, I mean, all this stuff has a
But
cult
that's why
following.
that's why
why.
D&D is still popular. Now, I know that we're over an hour, but can I take a point of personal privilege to smile at X-Men 97 being
course.
picked up exactly off where the end of the original run of the animated series dropped off? I think that is just amazing, and
Of
I'm
course.
a fan of the new character models. In retrospect, that animation from back then was not like awesome. I mean, the storytelling was good and strong and solid and everything, but the animation was kind of ass.
That opening riff.
Yeah. And these new character models, and I'm wondering if they're going to do like cell shading or whatever, because I certainly don't think they're going to do hand drawn. That's just not the shit anymore. But I'm encouraged by the character models that I've seen. It's the same cast of characters.
Same
Storm
cast, yep.
Storm has a different vibe. They're giving her a mohawk with the white costume. You've
Same
got
voice actors. You got a lot
Will
of
they
Yeah.
have
original
that
voice
vibe
actors
going
returning.
in a couple episodes when they're in the future?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying it looks like this is the main character model for her now. It's
So
Mohawk
they're
Storm, but
going
it's
away
Mohawk Storm, but not in the black leather. It's not kick-ass Mohawk Storm. It's white Weather Witch costume with Mohawk hair.
It's not Storm from when she traveled to visit the
No,
Morlocks. That
no,
like
it
that
isn't.
Mohawk, yeah.
It's
So
not
they're
her.
combining them.
Yeah, it's not her beating Callisto and being a badass when she doesn't have powers. It's Mohawk Storm head, Powers body, and then Mr. Sinister, of course, is back in there. They've got Hellfire Club with the White
Jason
Queen
Wynn.
and not Jason. It's the guy, the
Sebastian
main
Stan.
guy, Sebastian Stan. Yeah. So That
No,
was
Sebastian
exciting.
Stan is the actor.
Sebastian Shaw.
Shaw,
Sebastian
yeah,
Shaw.
Shaw.
Shaw
I was gonna
Industries.
say,
Yeah, no, Sebastian Stan, right, you're right. So, and the other thing that was exciting to me is there's so many animated things, and they've already greenlit season 3 of What If.
Yep.
well, they did season 2 of
Season 2 is done, and season 3
no,
is
no.
green.
to go back to your X-Men. So
Oh,
they're
okay,
doing
yeah.
X-Men.
Oh, yeah,
They have
X-Men
season-
already got its season 2,
It already
right?
got its season 2 set
Yeah,
up.
before
We got
they've
2
even
seasons
2 seasons
X-Men
guaranteed of the
97.
X-Men animation. And, considering that we're not getting an X-Men movie anywhere on the horizon, the fact that we're going to see some new X-Men content from Marvel on D+ in 2023 is pretty exciting. And I'd
I'm
love to
hoping
see
that
them
they add
flex their
some X-Men
muscles.
into What If.
They've got to. They've got to. That was my
Yeah.
thing, because What If was our main entree into multiverse things with characters with fully kind of articulated stories. And so give us a What If that establishes some X-Men mythos that can translate to the live screen, just like they did with Captain Carter. If you did it with Captain Carter, fucking do it with some X-Men. Give me a Storm solo spinoff. Give me a Wolverine thing. Something.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen, Captain.
Look, they really
Marvel
could.
Zombies.
Marvel Zombies, they've already got a second season. That's also dropping pretty soon, actually. I think that's like a surprise series. Zombie season 2.
Well, no, Zombies was featured in What If. They haven't had a.
Sorry, no,
No, I
they're
knew
dropping
no,
a
I
Marvel
remember-
Zombies animated series.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
thought
that-
that
whole
we
animated
knew
series
that.
coming.
We
Yeah,
knew
exactly.
about
That's
that
coming.
on
No,
the
we
series.
did. It's just something that they talked about in the run up. Barack says, "What do you guys think about the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power trailer?"
I like that. I like the Lord of the Rings trailer more than I like the damn House of the Dragons trailer. The House of the Dragons, I'm like, fuck out of here. It doesn't even look interesting versus the Lord of the Rings.
You don't like
I'm looking-
like it.
I know. I get that I'm not a fan of
Of
House
the
of
entire
whole
thing.
dragons.
Say,
I'm not a fan, but I at least expected this to be an exciting look, and it looks like, wow, like this doesn't look like an interesting story to me. I'll give it to you. I did not like any of that Dungeons or House of the
Game of Thrones.
Targaryens.
Yeah,
I didn't
Game
like
of
any
Thrones.
of that shit. Game
Right.
of Thrones. I didn't like any of that
So,
shit.
Look,
This
look,
is
that
I
shit was
like
hot
the
about
other one.
8 years ago.
I like Lord of the Rings.
Okay, so what about you, Anthony? What was your big takeaways?
John Wick.
Wait, yes.
Bring
Yes,
that shit
yes,
back.
yes, yes.
I mean, come on. Between that
Yes.
and then the rumor mill of the Continental series being made, I mean, this universe is just great and it keeps on expanding.
Yeah.
We cannot go wrong.
I
with a
think
John Wick film.
unofficially Gunpowder Milkshake is John Wick universe adjacent,
Mr.
I can
Nobody.
believe that.
and Nobody too.
And nobody,
Nobody
too.
too.
Yeah.
I
can believe that.
I think those could very seamlessly be pulled in to the John Wick verse if they were inclined to, because Gunpowder Milkshake was basically female Wick,
Yeah.
Jane Wick,
And, nobody is retired Wick.
right?
So yeah,
It's Limp
know.
Wick.
yeah, got a family now. Sure. I know they're probably gonna have something stellar coming. It may have happened today. I thought the Rock's Hall.
Oh,
8
Black
panel was
Adam.
today. I thought that was today because I think Marvel is tomorrow. So I think that
Yeah.
on the Rock's Instagram, he was like, Friday, I'm coming. I'm burning the whole fucking Comic-Con down. My first time there. I can't wait to see what we get to see from that. But nothing is going to top the fact that Marvel is going to be dropping the first trailer for Black Panther 2, Wakanda
2.
Forever. And damn it, that's all I need from this entire weekend. I need that to happen in the worst way. I need to see this first trailer. I'm trying to get emotionally ready for it. I don't know how I'm going to feel seeing it, but man, it's still Black Panther. It's not in a ranking for me as far as where it ranks in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is just one of my favorite films of all time for what it did for me. And to see this trailer this weekend, that's all I need, man.
I really don't want them to do the Bozeman heavy Marvel logo animation. I really
might.
don't.
I
I
think they want
really
to.
don't.
They
I
need
do
to.
not.
Well,
want
they are.
to
Well,
see
they've already
that.
done one.
They've already done one, right?
So
But I just don't want
to.
to. I think they need to move on. I think they need to give us space. You're already not giving us a T'Challa. You're giving us, maybe he's recuperating in the realm of the dead so that you can
Okay.
reintroduce him. I think that's
Pause.
fine.
You are a fan of Black Panther, the Black Panther, you've read the comics. We're talking Black Panther, the film, what resonated against a lot of people who have never who don't watch Marvel films. There is an attraction that they have to Chadwick Boseman, and they are going to use this film and this moment for people who are not Black Panther fans because this hit across in so many realms. They're going to give us a space to honor Chadwick Boseman in this film. That is point blank, period. It's going to happen.
Oh no, I get that it's going to happen. I'm just saying they need to leave the door open to having the character recast. You can't shut that door completely.
Absolutely.
Because again, you're saying that, Liz, but there have been 7 cinematic Batmans. It's an archetypal character and it represents a lot. Chadwick Boseman is not the only person who can play T'Challa. He's just
I'm not saying that he is. I'm saying that it for Wakanda Forever, there's going to be this moment. Of course, he's going to be recast, but that is a conversation not for this film, but it's going to be a conversation for the future.
But
And
this
we
film
can't
actually has a
compare.
lot of pressure on it because it has to do what
Yeah, but
Tom
we
is saying.
can't compare.
Exactly.
We can't compare saying that you can replace a Batman when we all know what T'Challa had meant in this particular film that has absolutely nothing to do with people who are familiar with Black Panther.
But see, the point is that what Black Panther represents was not what Chadwick Boseman represented. Chadwick Boseman did a great job. Nobody's saying he didn't. But the character and what the character represents, if no one had seen Chadwick Boseman's performance, if they had cast a similarly gifted actor, then everybody would be saying that actor brought Black Panther to life. And the movie wouldn't have been lesser if it were competently cast. Now, Coogler cast the person he wanted to cast in the role, and he did a great job. We can't tell what that movie would have been without Chadwick Boseman because Chadwick Boseman was in it. However, the character to Black audiences and to Black male audiences is too important to say, oh, Letitia Wright can just take the mantle. We're good.
We're not saying that she can. I'm just saying
but
he is.
Kevin
she,
Feige tried to
going
say it.
to-
Kevin
but we are
Feige tried
going-
to say he's
it's
not
a
going to be
possibility.
recast.
He's probably going to be recast, right? But the point is that for this film, it's going to be a reflection of clearly they renamed it to Wakanda Forever. They purposely did not make it Black Panther 2 because they are giving people audiences who are not particularly attached to have read Black Panther, to have this connection with Black Panther. This transcended people who are into comics. So they're going to give people space to see the other world of Wakanda along with honoring Chadwick so that it gives people closure enough for the next time you see a Black Panther.
But Liz, this film can't escape the notion and the promise of the future of T'Challa, the Black
Right.
Panther. This film, it cannot, you cannot have this film go and not actively pass the baton to the next
You'll
Black
get that.
Panther, i.e. T'Challa. T'Challa must live no matter what. T'Challa, aka the Black Panther, has to live. That character has to live because that character
You will
is too
get that.
important.
But Chadwick is going to be honored.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's
we
what
get
is
it,
going
but
to happen.
well,
And I don't
maybe
understand why we have to keep talking about if T'Challa's going to be recast when we know that there's a strong possibility that we're going to see because it made too much money. It's going to happen, but we don't have to say that in the same breath that is Chadwick Boseman going to be honored. He is going to be honored in Wakanda Forever. We're going to have a next step. None of the women, his sister is not pictured in a Black Panther outfit, clearly. So we know she's not taking the mantle. We're going to get a male
I
T'Challa.
don't know that we know that, but
Okay.
well,
I
I'm
mean,
just saying
I'll
there's
eat
stuff
crow.
There's stuff out there. All I will say is because Shuri did assume the mantle in the comic books when Black Panther was in the realm of the dead, I think it's more likely than not that she's going to be in the costume in this movie at some point. She has in the animated series, she tried to be a Black Panther, she didn't get it. In the comic book, she was Black Panther for a while. And she's here, and they want a Black Panther. They didn't just call it Wakanda Forever. It's Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And so the point is, as recently as January of this year, Feige was saying that the role wouldn't be recast. Now, it's been 2 years since Chadwick Boseman died. And because of COVID and everything else, the original date was supposed to be in 2021. 2021 would have been too soon. And you couldn't redo the whole movie by the time you got to it. So they already had to readjust after his passing because they were prepared to shoot the movie with Black Panther in it. And so now you've got to make some tweaks. So how they're going to deal with it will be the best indication of whether or not there is intentionality about recasting. So if we see something in the trailer that mentions the death of the king, that's going to be different than if we don't.
Everything hangs on this trailer.
And if they've already greenlit the world of Wakanda.
She wasn't Black Panther with Ironheart was there.
No, but that's
what?
immaterial because I understand, but Ironheart, they wanted Ironheart to be in this movie.
Okay.
And so they couldn't take her out.
She fought as Shuri.
What are you talking about? In the comic books.
Yeah, that's after this.
Yeah, but that's way after.
That's after T'Challa had come back. By the time that Ironheart comes
I'm not
around,
talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that they put Ironheart in this film.
That's just
we don't know what is going to happen. I think we should just leave the speculation to see what they'll actually do.
Which again,
but my gut feels that they're going to still honor him. And then they've already said that, Liz.
That's not a gut. That's not your gut. That's Angela Bassett. That's
right. You got actors and the producer saying that he's not going to be recast.
We are going to honor him in a way that's going to be very near and dear to our hearts, and is really going to touch the viewers. You know, that Angela Bassett, when she was being interviewed, she said all of that. She said the way we deal with it is so beautiful and so touching. And it gives everyone the closure that they need. That is what Angela Bassett said. So we get that. But my thing is that within this film, while also giving him the closure, and it started with Tom saying, I hope they don't do a whole Chadwick Boseman montage kind of changeover in the beginning. I don't think that would be what they're going to do. That's not a beautiful, send off for the actor who brought the character to life. They've got to do something else within the film. A long time ago, it was rumored that this film, by the time it gets to the end, we will see the individual who was the new Black Panther. Don't know if they're still going to do that because they've put a whole lot of hush on that. When they asked Kevin Feige about that, he was like, we are going to do, they're all sticking to the script. We are going to honor Chadwick Boseman. So again, this trailer, it should be hitting tomorrow in Hall H. The only reason that I would have wanted to be at Comic-Con would have been to be at this panel so I can see this.
Right.
Comic-Con, y'all are slipping. You need to be streaming this shit. For everyone who's at home, you need to partner with YouTube, partner with Amazon, partner with somebody so you can start streaming this shit around the world. You will make a killing. You heard it here first. So when it happens, you can say, damn, those folks on Nerdorama and the legendary Nerder Roundtable know what the fuck they're talking about. And with that, Anthony, my man, 50 grand. Take us out, good sir.
Good news, everybody.
Dr. Liz.
Run, OJ, run.
Yes. Tom.
Where is my flying space vagina suit?
Shit. Excelsior. Damn.